Good.
Have some good interviews here shortly.
Cool.
So today,
We're doing pressure is a privilege.
say that louder.
Pressure is a privilege.
Explain that to me, bro.
Okay, so actually, it kind of started in my mind through sports. So I heard, like how all these athletes are privileged and all this, and then, throughout the day later, you're like hearing how they're all, they got a lot of pressure on them and everything. And I kind of related that to, because like I've covered before, is these are some of the most successful people at their one thing. No, hands down, these are the best in the world at what they do. And I think that I kind of combined those two to build a new mindset to how I approach pressure. And that I look at pressure as a privilege rather than like, oh man, I got all this pressure in my life, I got this going on, I got this, and everything just stacking up. And actually something you said last week kind of correlated right into it. And to my thought process on pressure, you said, I get to go to work rather than I have to work tomorrow. Well, that's kind of the same thing with pressure, is you kind of look at it and you're like, I get to have this pressure. This is a privilege. You have this kind of pressure because you are this successful. And I think likely, depending on your success level, the higher you go, the more pressure you're going to get. You can probably tell us more about that better than anyone I know anyways. But
Yeah, I mean, well, the thing about it is too, and that's a great concept, man. The thing about it is too, is the more pressure you expose yourself to over time, the easier it is to endure. And I love the topic when you told me, pressure is a privilege. I was thinking about it, like it truly is. Well, everybody's like, there's a lot of people like hung up on race and stuff like that, or you're white and you had it all easy, and I'm Mexican and I have it all hard, and I'm black and I have it all hard. I don't even care if this is controversial at all. The reality of it is you're sitting there thinking about what other people are doing and you're not thinking about yourself, you're losing the game.
absolutely.
And if you think that growing up in a bad neighborhood or whatever is pressure, absolutely is. Mm-hmm. I remember growing up, I grew up pretty rough. I'm not going to get into the details of it. It wasn't fantastic. Everything I wore was hand-me-downs. I was the youngest. Obviously, the only thing new I ever got was shoes. Mm-hmm. And I'd wear those until they were completely coming off my feet before I'd get another $10 or $15 pair of shoes. People talk about like having soda and stuff in their house. I never had soda. We never even had freaking Kool-Aid, bro. We couldn't afford fucking Kool-Aid. So let's just put this all into perspective. I used to look at people that were wealthy. I could tell that they were wealthy because they got all this nice shit at Christmas time and all this and all that. And I remember thinking, I don't know if I should be envious of them or feel sorry for them, because they don't have the pressure to have to figure out how to succeed. While I'm making my own fucking toys and everybody else is getting bought the latest and greatest G.I. Joes, I'm making zip guns, blow dart guns, Chinese stars, all
the cool toys.
all the cool stuff. Yeah, and everybody wanted to play with my toys, which is the funny part. But I was so much more innovative than anybody else around me because I had to be. Mm-hmm. And when you're talking about pressure as a privilege, you have with the mechanism, you have deadlines, you have constraints on you, which to me push me harder and harder and harder to levels of success that I wouldn't be achieving unless I had that pressure. Mm-hmm. So you consider people deal with stress in different ways. If I were to lose my wife or my kids or anything like that, that'd just be, I don't even want to think about that kind of stress. But losing a vehicle, losing my house, whatever any of those situations might happen, that's just another little piece of pressure on me to make me excel a little bit more the next time and push harder the next time.
I think at some point this week you said that you have been broke 3 times in your life.
Homeless.
And climbed back to the top.
Back to the top.
And that's because you handle pressure well. It's not just that pressure is a privilege. What I'm trying to get across is how you look at pressure. Because you could have pressure and it destroys you. Or you could have pressure and it makes you just rise to the top. And it's all just how you view that pressure, how you view your scenario, how you view work, how you view your life. Just your mentality, the way that you think can change any bad situation, as such as pressure, and can elevate you to that next level. And I think that's evident in your life, evident in sports. I think all the best athletes, myself even, when I was very successful in all the sports I did, I just handled pressure really well. It didn't even, I was able to phase things out.
You needed the pressure.
Yeah. And it just made me better at whatever I was doing. And as you get better, especially in a sport, as you get to become the best player on that field, you have the pressure to perform now. Everyone is expecting you to go out there. They're expecting you to score 3 goals or do whatever, you know.
And if you don't, they're just like yawn.
Yeah, exactly. So you have that pressure on you, but then when you score 4 goals or 5 goals or whatever's, I played soccer, so I'm saying goals, but you know, then everyone's like, oh my gosh, he's even better than we thought, or you know, it's just makes you better if you can handle that pressure or look at that pressure in a way to push you forward rather than hold you back.
And then when so like, let's just take like a marriage, like a solid relationship or a marriage or something like that. When you're single and you're a man or a woman, you'll go through a lot more extra effort to become healthy, to become attractive, to get the nicer car, you know, have the nicer job, you know what I mean? Just the things to be able to attract that mate. But once you do find somebody and you do get comfortable, you become, quote, fat and happy. So like you'll be into a relationship and you'll get into these like stagnant little pockets where you're just like content with your surroundings. You know your counterpart loves the shit out of you no matter what you do. You could put on 80 pounds and they'd still love you just the same. They just wouldn't touch you as much maybe. but you become docile and you become content. In that situation, where do you find the pressure? You don't have pressure being imposed on you anymore. So now it becomes a matter of creating the pressure for yourself rather than waiting for the pressure to come, because nothing's going to happen to you. Things happen for you, but you have to be paying attention to what's going on around you to acknowledge what's there. For me, I was docile. I wasn't in the gym at all. I wasn't doing shit. We, in February, got the mechanism together for the no sugar. We say this all, no sugar, no processed fast food, and you have to work out 3 times a week, whether that's just picking up a couple dumbbells and curling them a couple times and walking out the gym. Go from that to now I'm literally in the gym 9 times a week, 8 or 9 times a week. So that's 2 days where I'm there 2 times a day, because I'm gonna kill it on this ab thing, dude. And I have 7 weeks left, dude. I think I'm gonna make it. I'm like, anyways. You have to come up with pressure somehow, some way, in order to push yourself to the next level. A lot of us are indoctrinated with this weird programming in our lives to where, and I've said this last week, where if you think that because you make more money than your parents did when you were growing up, you've now succeeded.
Sure.
Well, you don't have a good frame of reference there. You need to put yourself in another environment and look around you. When you're around people that all they talk about is buying stuff, that's if people are talking about buying stuff more than they're talking about making stuff happen, you need to reconfigure your surroundings. If you're around people that are doing nothing but saying F that dude, F that dude, F that dude, instead of thinking about what they can do to elevate each other, you need to reevaluate your situation. Literally, you can catch people just about any situation at any point in time. All of us are human. We're always going to say something about other people. It just happens, you know? Sure. But when you're around people that's all they do, what are you going to be? If you're sitting there hung up on other people, the color of their skin and how they have advantages over you, well, what are you doing to elevate yourself? Who cares what they're doing? Who cares what color they are? Who gives a shit? Nobody gives the only people that care about it are the people that want to lose. The people that want to win don't think about it that way. I just have another little layer of pressure on me. I'm black, I have another layer of pressure on me. I'm Mexican, I have another layer of pressure on me. I'm a white trash fucking kid that got fucking, I don't even know how many times I was in physical altercations. I have no clue. And I was weird because I wrote in the book that I'd never been jumped before. And now I need to recap it because I remembered yesterday somebody posted something on Facebook where they were jumping, these 5 guys were like jumping this guy into an LA gang. And they were just giving him Charlie horses. He covered up like this and just covered up and just covered up. And I was like, that's the weakest shit, dude, I've ever seen, dude, because every single time I saw somebody get jumped in, I was not in a gang. I didn't give a shit. That was just the stupidest thing to me. You literally are supposed to try to put the people down around you. Yeah. I've 2 times in my life been at the bottom of a dog pile and worked my way back up to the top. I didn't beat everybody's ass, but I didn't get jumped. So I need to fix my book at some point in time. But the thing about it is that's the pressure that makes you succeed. Your adversity is your gift to make you succeed. If you look at it as some daunting thing that you can never overcome, I pity you.
Yeah.
I feel sorry for you.
Absolutely. And I mean, we have a mutual friend, and I don't have to go into details or anything about him, but he did something that I thought was pretty cool, and I said, you didn't have to do that, someone else could have done it or whatever. And he said, I'm just trying to be the person that I would want to hire, right? And that kind of hit me hard because going to this topic right here, how you handle pressure and everything, like if you were to hire someone, who would you want to hire? Someone who can handle pressure or someone who cracks under pressure?
Or someone who feels sorry for themselves because of pressure. And
the other side of that, as far as a company or business wise, I believe Gary Vaynerchuk said, to be a successful company, fire the person who has any negativity. If there's someone bringing negativity to your company, I don't care if they're their top producer or whatever, fire them. Get rid of them.
Top salesman, lead executive, anything. Whatever. It doesn't matter. Yeah, no, I saw the same thing. It's solid sound.
And that kind of links to your point, which is if people are being negative around you, get rid of them. I think pretty much if someone in your group of friends or someone around you doesn't want to see you succeed, it's to the same point. You need to get rid of them. And literally on that thought alone, if they do not want to see you succeed, if you know that they don't want to see you succeed, get rid of them. It doesn't matter any of the other qualities, like you don't need them. If they're not in that position where they want to see you succeed and you don't want to see them succeed, you need to get rid of them.
See, that's the funny thing, because I used to be like that. Like I used to be so competitive, and I felt the only way that I was going to scratch my way to the top was to not share my secrets on how I get jobs done faster, not share any of the ways that I motivate my crew and stuff like that. Not share any of that stuff. Just keep it to myself so I can elevate past everybody else.
Sure.
Now I'm at the point where I want everybody around me to pass me up so I have competition. Like seriously, because you can get to a 6-figure threshold and you can just stay stagnant there for the rest of your life. Shit, you could get to a $60,000 a year threshold and stay there for the rest of your life. How do you get to the $1 million threshold? How do you get to the multi-million-dollar threshold? And it's not necessarily going to be entirely people around me passing me up, but I will help you freaking pass me up.
Yeah.
I will help you pass me up. I'll give you anything in it, because I'm not the smartest guy. I'm just freaking determination, and you can't outsmart hard work. Like literally, that's what freaking Pat Bet David was saying. He's like, you can work smart as you want, but the thing about it is you can't outsmart hard work.
Okay.
So, in determination and tenacity, always win, always prevail. Always, always, always. You figure out a way. If you stop...
That's also how you handle pressure.
Yeah.
Determination and tenacity. That's
yeah, dude.
Exactly how you handle pressure.
It's funny, too, because if I don't have pressure, I start...
kind of slowing down a little bit. Yeah. I can see that.
So now I got coming up here. I got 6 months, right? I got enough money that I can live for 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
If you've never done that before, and I need to get to a freaking massive, the way I'm looking at it, I want to be a millionaire within the next 6 months. That's my goal. I got real estate, freaking published author. I need to freaking do all that stuff associated with that. We got another thing coming out that's probably going to be the biggest of all. And if we find another machine, that one's getting incorporated as well. Another vehicle, that one's getting incorporated as well.
Which we will.
But my level of hunger associated with getting to that level, now that August 1st, I resigned from electrical after 25 years. That's freaking nuts.
A lot of pressure right there.
It is. It is. And I have a lot of people just in my family counting on me to succeed. And I feel like I have a lot of people in the world watching me as an example to see if I can succeed. Because ultimately my goal is to help educate people to see what they can do, what they're actually capable of doing. I assure you, dude, I'm not the smartest person in the room at half the freaking venues I'm in. In the electrical field, sometimes I'm like Jason's insane, dude. Like, what the hell, bro? You're like,
yeah.
That dude is insanely smart. But I just got back from the gym. I drank a pre-workout. So I got a lot of energy. But the thing about it is like, before you sit there and feel sorry for yourself about any of your circumstances, I know I'm looking at Zach, but I'm ultimately talking to everybody that's watching this.
We're always talking to everyone.
Yeah, and we're not perfect, and the reality of it is, like, whatever we're saying isn't is just things that we're putting together. All this shit's been said before. The world has been, Roman empires and all kinds of shit have been built on premises of these same type of values throughout entire world history. Mm-hmm. If you're looking at everybody else and going, I wish I was like him, too bad I'm not, ho hum, you've already lost the game. You need to switch your thinking and go, bless that dude. He's a millionaire. Look at that house. Drive through neighborhoods where people have sick ass houses. Go test drive a freaking Rolls Royce. Go sit in there. What does Dan Pena call it? Smell the leather. Mm-hmm. Go sit in there, and don't go in there and go, all these freaking rich people, I could never have this. But you don't know what you don't know, and you never start. You never know how far you can get until you start. Mm. I started at $5 an hour. I can't divulge what I make because there's a lot of people watching this, but I've arguably got to about as high of a level in this industry, in the commercial electrical industry in the state of Arizona, as you could possibly get pay-wise.
Without owning the company.
Without owning the company. And I am not satisfied. And from a guy that grew up where we couldn't even afford fucking Kool-Aid, we couldn't afford milk, bro. Mm. Dude, it's insane. Like, just thinking about how my mom was able, she raised 3 boys at the same time, all of us 5 years apart. My oldest brother is an Aryan Brotherhood freaking member. I thought I was training to be a freaking Aryan Brotherhood prison gangster when I turned 18 years old. That's literally how I thought. That's what I thought. And I started the electrical industry July 5th, 1994. And I wound up becoming my brother's father figure instead of him being my father figure all that time. And I started at $5 an hour and worked my way all the way up to the top. Stop worrying about what everybody else is doing. Don't sit there and go, I have all this stress and all this pressure on me. If you lose your family in a car accident, or your wife or your kids or something like that, my heart goes out to you. That is arguably very, very fair to sit there and dwell on for however long you need to dwell on.
Definitely.
If you're worried about what your pay scale is, do something about it. If you're worried about your house being foreclosed on, do something about it. In an age where you can YouTube just about any type of information you could ever want, you have no excuse to complain about a fucking thing. It's pathetic if you do. The pressure is a gift. Pressure is a blessing.
It is. And that goes to your theory on your gift is being a human being. You know, like,
What better machine could you have?
as a human being, you're blessed to have pressure, to be able to succeed past that pressure.
And isn't it kind of strange how your muscles grow from extra use, from being under pressure? Isn't it weird how diamonds are created out of coal from pressure? Isn't it ironic how the more you try, the more you succeed? Obviously you fail.
Yep.
But do you stop when you fail? Or do you find another way? You know what I mean? Do you walk down the sidewalk and there's a light pole right in the middle of the sidewalk? Do you walk down the sidewalk and hit the light pole and then stand there like a dumbass going, I guess I can't go this way, and then turn around and go back? Or do you go watch it and you just kind of go around it and just keep going?
Or some people walk right into it again.
I think most people keep walking into it and go, damn. It's I'm not saying this is like most people are just idiots. That's not the case. I think all of us, every single human on this planet, has been indoctrinated with a whole bunch of bullshit freaking programming. Money doesn't grow on trees. We can't afford that. You can't do that. You can't do that. Don't try that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. I'd like to see you try, dumbass. You know what I mean? Like it's like we're in this culture of everybody trying to shut you down, and you believe it. And just do me a favor. Just do a little exercise, like next barbecue that you're at, or next time you're around your family. Just sit there and just kind of count how many times either your father or your friends or whoever puts other people down around you, or maybe even just puts you down. Just start right there. Just a devaluing statement. Anything that's devaluing, just count those times. Just to put it in perspective. And what you have to understand is that is active negative programming. You will succumb to it.
Arguably around all the people you love.
Mostly.
You know, what happens when you're around people that you don't even love? It's like, jeez.
What I started doing a long time ago, and you brought this up to me, instead of me coming in and pointing out all the shit that's wrong with the work that you were doing as a foreman, I would ask you if you saw something wrong with that. And I'd just make suggestions on how it should look. You know what I mean? Just to tweak it to make it more perfect. And it's an art form. It's easy for any of us to look at you, not you, but any of us to look at each other and go, oh, that's something fucked up about you.
Yeah.
But the harder part is turning it on yourself and improving whatever it is that you see. Be your own worst critic and actually improve on it. Don't sit there and beat yourself up and beat yourself up and beat yourself up for the sake of beating yourself up. Look at what yourself and what you want to improve in yourself, and then actively take steps to change that. Small stuff. What were we talking about? Reinventing yourself. Yeah. Clean out your junk drawer in your kitchen.
I noticed you cleaned up your office space.
I have to, yeah. About once a week I do that.
It's helping, right? It's working.
Yeah, no, it does. It absolutely. It's a reset.
Yeah.
It's just like your phone. Your phone starts fucking up. You turn it off, reset it, or restart it. Comes back on, and now you can get online. Do it yourself. Stop blaming other people for your problems. Understand that whatever pressure you have is not just stress put on you. A lot of times it's circumstances that you're creating yourself.
Yeah.
Sometimes you create those circumstances just for the sake of beating yourself up. A lot of people do that.
Absolutely. And what's crazy is, like, thinking about all of our topics, I think we've covered most of our older topics in this podcast right here. But it's like pretty much all of our topics aren't like groundbreaking topics.
Nothing
or anything.
groundbreaking.
It's just the way that we think about that certain aspect and turning that around in your life. And if you start thinking about certain things this way or that way, you'll start seeing crazy changes in your life, which I know you've seen, I've seen just in this last year, just changing the way that we think about certain things, changing the way that we view something, putting more pressure on ourselves, whatever it may be. I mean, I just put a ton of pressure on myself, but we're gonna see. I'm gonna go right through it, just like I've done every other time. You basically forced me to become a foreman. I never asked you to be a foreman. You were just like, hey, dude. Actually, it was like our second time rolling, and you're like, hey, dude, just so you know, you're running a job in like 10 days. I was like, okay, cool.
That's what you get for tapping me out so many times.
Yeah.
But no, it's if you would have cowered and ran away from that, you think you would have got that offer again?
No.
When I first wanted to do a large commercial job as a foreman, I was scared to death, bro. And I literally had to somewhat trick and or convince the company that I was working for that I could totally do it, no problem. Whether I believed that or not had nothing to do with it, because how was the saying? You eat an elephant one bite at a time.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing with everything. And like what we talk about with the layers, one more layer, add one more skill, add one more thing to your knowledge base, add one more book, add one more chapter, add one more word. Mm-hmm. It builds, it grows. You can sit there with a Lego set, you know what I mean? Most people with a Lego set, if we're comparing it to people's lives, this is the way most people treat their lives. You get this badass castle Lego set, which most people would argue that, okay, you buy the Lego set and you build the Lego set because you know what to do. You have the directions right there. I think in life you have the directions as well. You just have to pay attention to it. You just have to be receptive to it. But most of us in life get that Lego set, open the thing up and put a couple blocks on the green flat Lego piece and then just sit there and wonder why it's not going anywhere.
Yeah, you just look at the directions.
Or you're not even looking at the directions. You're not even looking at any of it. You're just sitting there feeling sorry for yourself that the damn thing's not building itself.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck kind of logic is that?
It's right there.
No results without action.
Yeah. The more action you take, the more results. You take no action, no results.
That's it.
Simple.
Your Lego set, you got to keep putting the blocks on it, just like your life. You got to keep putting the adding.
Or you're never going to see that castle.
Never going to see it. And then what do you do after you build that castle, though? If you're like a big Lego geek or whatever, what do you do after you build that castle?
Build another one.
You build another one.
Put them next to each other, and then you stack another one, and then you got this.
And then you build another one.
And then you got like 12 castles that are really one big castle. It's pretty crazy.
And then you're taking all kinds of different parts and building all kinds of elaborate things beyond what your directions said, because you have the directions in your mind. This is the way life works. You have the directions. You have everything that you need to elevate yourself, except for you're looking at it all the wrong way. You're worried about what other people are doing. That's the worst thing that you could ever do.
It's crazy, dude.
Who cares what anybody else is doing? I care about what other people are doing because I want to figure out a way to slap them out of their fucking bullshit and bring them to a level of elevate them to a point where they pass me the fuck up. Like I want everybody around me to pass me up. Like, dude, if I'm the fucking poorest millionaire around my fucking friends, is that terrible?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
who wants to be a millionaire by themselves, anyways? Like,
nobody.
I want everyone around me to be a millionaire. Like, that's how I'm going to have fun.
Dude, and you need the collaborative effort too. Yeah. And one of the things that I was doing wrong for such a long time is I was trying to build a business in my own little bubble because I didn't think anybody else can help me. Now, in a matter of just, 3 months in a collaborative effort, we've gotten so far with a company that we're going to be putting together here really soon. It's and you could have it in your head where like, oh, so-and-so's not doing this and so-and-so's not doing that, but you got to think about the value of it, because I wouldn't think the three of us together put ideas in place that wouldn't be there now if it was just me sitting there trying to think about it by myself, or you sitting there trying to think about it by yourself, or Mike wouldn't even be anywhere near where he is right now. You know what I mean? If it wasn't for the collaborative effort of all of us. And that's the value of it. One of the books I read said, you take one person and one person can do so much work, another person can do so much work, but if you bring the two people together, it adds up to the work of 11 people. It's just a synergistic bouncing back and forth. So the reason I kind of bring that up is because most relationships, most social interactions are discrediting. They're like, I don't even know what the opposite of synergistic is. It's basically you're taking away from each other and trying to buy more shit than each other, and that's going to elevate you. Once you collaborate together, why don't you start calling people out? Like if you're one of those people that degrades people around you, stop doing it, for one, and start calling your friends out on it. Maybe even come up with a way to go, hey bro, you know what? I just sat here today while we were hanging out drinking some beers, and I counted 38 freaking times that you degraded me in some way, shape, or form. Whether it's sarcastic or whatever the case is. Do you realize that that is negative programming, and we are going to be susceptible to it? It's going to create our outcome. What if we switch that up? Let's switch up our habits and try to figure out how to build.
Say 38 positive things.
38 positive things.
Or figure out 30 different ways to make each other successful.
That's more what I'm saying. I'm not saying, hey man, you look fantastic today.
No one wants.
And we joke about stuff, but it's not like we have a specific purpose together.
Yeah.
Multiple specific purposes. But the ultimate thing is to breach thresholds over and over and over and over. And we'll do that from an ego-based, fun thing. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but there's a difference because, like,
I want you to succeed.
Yeah, and we both know that we're just joking with each other. But when someone doesn't know the other person's joking, I don't know. We've just built that relationship over 6.5 years. But you can tell when someone's actually being negative. There's a difference between joking negative and being negative, trying to get at someone or trying to put people down. You know the difference. So people may see us and be like, oh, they're just talking shit at each other or whatever, this or that, but we know the difference.
But we don't tear each other down.
No.
On that aspect. One of the things that was interesting to me is I was talking to somebody and they knew that I was resigning. And I was like, I just don't want to end up like, and the guy said, he's like, what, you don't want to end up like me? And then I was like, I wasn't going to say that. But I'm now thinking back onto the topic, because I want to retire well. I don't want to hope and pray for a 401k. You have to educate yourself about a 401k. It's one of the biggest scams out there. Really educate yourself on it. I think I say that in every podcast. But I don't think he's that old. I think he's like 56 or something like that. I've absorbed about 50 books in the last 2 years, a little over 2 years. Multiple books. There are people there was like a grandma, she was 67 and became a multimillionaire in about 3 years just because something clicked in her head and she started doing the right things. What I'm saying ultimately is you have to figure out the direction you truly want to go and not sit there and stare at your Lego castle and hope it gets built and feel sorry for yourself that you didn't get to a certain point in your life. At 56 years old, 57, 58, 60, it's not too late for you to start. A lot of people nowadays are easily living to 90 years old, easily living to 95 years old. Not everybody.
My mom said today she was going to live to be 120.
There's just a lot of people
can see her great-great-grandchildren.
Well, they were telling me when I got the colonic yesterday that that it helps your longevity, reduces the amount of colon cancer and your whatever, blah blah blah. If you think that your circumstances are the reason for your lack of being able to succeed, your age, your color, your upbringing, or whatever, it's not. You and your perception of how you see everything around you and your lack of action or diligent pursuit of action